very carefully, because Einstein's theory is the bedrock, the foundation of all of modern science. This phone call, GPS, atomic bombs, lasers, black holes, expanding universes, all of it depends on Einstein's theory. So if Einstein is wrong, oh my God.
But isn't it possible that he got, like, that maybe he just scratched the surface, and maybe there's 300 more layers that he missed just because there's no way we could know it without computer help?
Well, we think there is a layer below Einstein's theory. However, that layer is very exotic. That layer opens up only at the instant of the Big Bang and the center of a black hole. However, in Italy, we don't expect to see violations of Einstein's theory with the neutrino beam, and that's why a lot of physicists are having a heart attack right now, contemplating the fact that every single physics textbook, every single experiment has to be revised if this experiment holds up.
Wow.
Well, maybe, because I used to joke about, like, I bowl like a bunch of neutrinos. You know, everybody would laugh.
I don't think they would. I don't think they'd laugh. Now, why would this... how would this change anything, to tell you the truth? Life still goes on. We still we still wake up in the morning. I mean...
Thank you.
And what's a split second, really?
I'm still finished in 30 seconds.
Look at the internet. Look at communication satellites. All of it depends on electronics, which in turn depends on relativity theory.
Sure.
So if relativity is totally wrong, this phone conversation is going to go poof.
Wait.
Einstein was a hack, from what I understand.
Really?
Yeah.
No, but wouldn't that...
His hair was all puffy.
Just the fact that our GPS does work and all this does in fact work, doesn't that say that nothing will change because it would have changed?
That's why I suspect that they made a mistake.
Ah, see?
Yeah, years ago, in the 1960s, there was even more sensational news that the speed of light rose in daytime and fell at nighttime, according to one physics experiment. So people said that's a hard thing to believe, that the speed of light could rise and fall with the day. Then it turns out that the experimental apparatus was outdoors and was sensitive to temperature of outdoors, and that's why they were getting the speed of light varying between morning and night.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Dr. Kaku, this is Jim Norton. Mm-hmm. Doesn't it strike you as odd, though, that as much as we learned that Einstein would have pegged the main theory this kind of soon after industrial technology began, doesn't it seem kind of odd that he would have gotten it right this early in the game for us as a species who's possibly going to travel in space someday or live in space?
That's true. It would seem like the odds would be...
Looking at it historically, we realize that Einstein was ahead of his time. His special theory of relativity beat out his competitors, but the general theory, I think, was maybe 50 years ahead of its time. Even today, we're shocked at how advanced it is, given the fact that it was proposed in 1915.
Probably because he was...
Is Isaac Newton and what's the other dude? Isaac Newton in
Bill Tetley?
Bill Tetley and Copernicus. Are they hacks in your profession at this point? Are they antiquated, or is Isaac Newton still a pretty cool dude?
If you're an Apple salesman.
Inside the solar system at low velocities, we still use Newton's laws of motion to shoot space satellites to Saturn and Jupiter. We don't use Einstein's theory because we go near the speed of light. However, lasers, GPS, the internet, all of that use things near the speed of light. And then Einstein's theory, not Newton's theory, is used in high-tech work. So all the high-tech wizardry that we see around us with iPods and iPads and internet and microwave towers, all of that comes from Einstein.
So here's a question, Dr. Kaku. Jim was saying something earlier that I disagree with. That they can recreate you. Like, do you think one day they'll be able to recreate who you are? I know you don't have a soul, but it's like, or not that you don't have a soul, but you don't believe in God, whatever. But they can actually create you, and you actually go, oh shit, I'm still here as me, as opposed to a clone that looks like you DNA-wise, but doesn't have your same essence or whatever you call it.
Well, this is actually a subject of debate among physicists, because teleportation, we've actually attained it at the atomic level. And one day, if we teleport Captain Kirk, then who is this imposter over there who claims to be Captain Kirk, who sells Priceline, and has all the personality quirks of Captain Kirk?
Well, is it possible, this is Jim Norton again, is it possible that if you learn Now, Ray Kurzweil talks about, and I'm not saying he's the be-all, end-all, but loading ourselves eventually onto computers, and your personality and who you are will be on a computer. Is it possible that if that's how simple it is, and if everything is just a chemical reaction that is eventually figured out by computers, and there is no difference between the uploaded version of me, essence-wise, and the me that's talking to you right now, that you could technically live in two places at one time, just like, say, a 60 billionth of a second apart?
Yeah, and if we have quantum teleportation and we're able to create a copy of you atom for atom, then in principle there might be more than one copy of you, and it's within the laws of physics. I'm not saying that it's possible.
So if they clone you, they would it's theoretically there could be a clone of Dr. Kaku who is also a physicist.
Yeah, you can't rule it out. There's no law of physics preventing that. Put it that way.
But who also thinks like you too?
100 years from attaining that kind of capability.
100 years.
But what about an exact parallel thinking between the two? Because it's such an accurate representation of the other that whatever chemical reaction makes thought and your thought process and your own soul, can there be exact duplicate thinking and reasoning?
Well, that's beyond our capability, and I think maybe for 100 years that's going to be beyond our capability.
100 years, that's nothing. A little more than that.
I have a tape recorder, and the tape recorder sounds like you. The tape recorder has all the mannerisms of you. It does not mean it is you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's going to take, many, many decades before we can get a tape recorder to mimic your personality, to be spontaneous, to
be hilarious. Right.
But again,
not
you're
have
talking
your
100 years ago, 100 years from now, maybe. You're not saying it's an impossibility. You're saying we're probably 100 years out from that type of thing with technology.
Advancing.
It's advancing as quickly and as it is.
So once
no law of physics preventing it.
Once that's accomplished, then that is immortality.
Yes.
Well, yeah, but who wants to live inside a tape recorder? Who wants to live inside?
No.
You won't be in a tape recorder.
The cloning, the actual making of another you.
Yeah, it's conceivable. You can't rule it out.
So that will be now. You will now be
immortal.
But
your body is replaceable.
Would you have all the memories that you had in your first body into that second body, so you can continue being?
Why not? Just program it into
it's
your
all
new
chemical
body.
stuff. We just don't know how it works yet. But once we figure out chemically what is a memory, what is that visual image that becomes a memory in your mind, how does your mind relate something and remember it and see it?
That could be
be fucking easy. It's like dittos.
This is the thing. The Big Bang Theory. Oh, I'm sorry, Dr.
What's
Kaku.
that, Dr. Kaku?
If you could replace every neuron in your brain with a transistor and have a duplicate brain made out of transistors with exactly the same architecture as your own brain, then it would, in principle, have the same responses. That is, same personality.
Right.
It would have the same wishes, goals, instincts.
This is
neuron. It fires the same.
This is Jim Norton again. How are you?
Hi.
Just curiosity. This is an odd thing. Now, you think that our universe may have started coming out of the kind of the ass end of a black hole. Is that correct? Is that a possibility?
There is a possibility that maybe we are a white hole.
Oh, we should tell him about the video I saw.
Doesn't it sound odd, though, that we just... Doesn't the whole thing, we come from like this little atom, seem a little... Is it possible that we kind of were a condensed planet or something from another universe? And you know how it gets down to singularity and it kind of kicked us out the ass end of a black hole, but we're just a much smaller version of something that was, say, a foot long.
But
like the super Earth.
You know what? Things that aren't explained. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr.
We could be a white hole instead of absorbing
a white hole, which basically just shows up on time as opposed to a black hole.
But can I ask this? Can I ask this? We fucking
guys.
We know.
Yeah.
That the heart beats and what the heart does and what but we don't know how we don't know what the motor is. There's no real beginning to the heart, or even this Big Bang Theory. To me, it's like there was a before the Big Bang Theory. There was a something before the Big Bang. Like the idea of nothingness doesn't register with me.
Yeah, we can't wrap our minds around.
It had to start with
nothing.
nothingness.
But then nothingness is something.
Right.
What's that, Dr. Kaku?
You think what happened before the Big Bang was that there was a multiverse. If our universe is a soap bubble that's expanding, that there could be other soap bubbles out there in a multiverse which looks like a bubble bath. And these bubbles fission, creating
like
baby
bubble
bubbles,
baths.
which then expand, giving you the Big Bang Theory.
And
And
the countdown take me away or something.
Exactly,
Big
Chip.
Bangs could be happening all the time.
But what's in between? What's in between these?
Space.
What's that?
Beyond the bubble
Hyperspace?
is a higher dimension.
So it's basically
See,
space
the
that
Big
is.
Bang
Oh,
expanding, but then
talk.
people ask, what is the Big Bang expanding into? If the bubble is three-dimensional, then what it's expanding into is 4, 5, 6 dimensions.
Oh,
we
shit.
think up to 11 dimensions. So we think that in 11 dimensions, that is a true arena of the multiverse.
Wow.
And do you guarantee that the idea of aliens, that they're always smarter than us, could we possibly be the highest developed creature in the universe?
I find it very unlikely, given the fact that the Kepler satellite has now surveyed the galaxy. 1 out of every 200 stars apparently has an Earth-like planet going around it. And so I think that we can now calculate how many planets there are in the galaxy that are Earth-like. It's in the billions.
and that's only our galaxy.
But I'm saying, do you think we could be the smartest creature in the whole universe?
He's saying no.
That's almost
Very
impossible.
unlikely. In which case, other civilizations could be thousands, millions of years ahead of us, because the universe is 13.7 billion years old. So what's a million years out of 13.7 billion years?
Now, okay, that's the question. 13.7 billion years. What was the year before that? Do you understand? Like, that's what confuses me, that my mind can't get my head around, is the nothingness before the existence of the universe.
Right.
What's that? What do you think it was?
Our universe is probably connected by an umbilical cord to a parent universe. There was another universe that existed before our universe.
Jesus, that's a lot of time.
So 13.7.
Bubbles can peel off baby soap bubbles.
Now, you're saying 13.7, and they say that's a kind of a give or take, like a 40-year ratio?
I go with the soap bubble.
I'm going
Also
soap
minus
bubble.
1%. We know the age of the universe to within 1% accuracy.
So you should celebrate its birthday or something, get a big hat.
Oh, Chip.
Dr. Kaku, is it possible that we're already connected to a higher life form?
Where? I mean, where would this higher
Exactly.
life?
Where?
I
What
don't
do
know
you
how the
mean?
connection would be, but from somewhere else where they're way more advanced than us and we're already connected to them in some way, but we
Connected in
just
what
don't
way?
know that. I don't know.
Like-
I'm not a physicist. I tell fucking dick jokes.
They gave us the ingredients to soap and then left.
Yes.
Dr. Kaku.
Somehow there's already a connection. We just don't. We're not smart enough on our level to even understand that yet.
Well, some physicists have said that maybe the aliens are already here, perhaps on the moon, just like in the movie 2001. They would send robots to explore the moons of the universe, because moons are quite stable, and they would essentially have listening posts. And so maybe on our moon there is evidence of a previous visitation, but we are about 100 years away from having the technology.
Everything's 100 years
to find
away.
such
It's like
probe.
when a contract
easy thing
says
to
2
say.
weeks.
Is it
Right.
possible, Dr. Kaku? Hi, this is Paul Hoggus. Is it possible that when you get like a really young universe, that like an older universe could go inside of it?
Well, yeah, in the sense that if our universe collapses into a big crunch, then maybe it'll disappear into another universe. However, the latest experimental data indicates that we're going to have a big freeze rather than a big
A Patrice?
No big freeze.
Oh,
Wow.
put your mittens on.
That's crazy.
Hey, can we ask you about the 3D printers? We just learned about them a little bit
right?
in the last week or so. Where's this technology going?
Well, ultimately, maybe within 100 years. it'll-
Another 100 years? You can't say 100 years for everything.
it's gotta be
Scott.
about
I
100
think
years.
he's saying 100 years because he's going to be dead,
Right,
and
and-
he don't give a shit. So 100 is the same as a million. It don't give a
That
shit.
sounds
Yeah,
like
sounds good.
something Yeah, they just
say 100 years.
The goal of the 3D printer is to get a replicator, just like in
Yes.
Star Trek.
Right.
That's the goal. In fact, I had my face replicated in 3D by such a device for the Science Channel.
Sounds frightening.
Yeah, did you see it and go, hi, I'm me? Oh, hi. Oh.
Yeah, that's scary.
It took about 20 minutes to create a carbon copy of my face in 3 dimensions, made out of plastic, using a 3D printer. They scanned my face with a laser beam, and then using plastic, created
It's
a
more
3D image of my face.
George Lucas did that shit.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Industrial
In
Light
the
Magic.
future, instead of using plastic, we'll use flesh.
About
Right,
100
do they-
years.
We can already put cells inside a laser printer, a dot matrix printer and shoot out cells instead of ink, and create heart tissue this way.
That's crazy. How long do you think it'll take to get that technology where we can actually maybe use it?
Well, the technology exists already by which we can create heart tissue. That's already been done at Wake Forest University in North Carolina.
So how long until we really...
hell of a school to go.
About 100 years?
Real replicators like Star Trek.
Do you think, Dr. Kaku, it's possible? I've often theorized this, that
He did?
if once we learn how to bend space-time and things of that nature and go through wormholes, is it possible once you could upload somebody on a computer, you could just zap them there and print them out? I think I asked you that, but it's not physically impossible that you could just... a computer could see exactly...
In 100 years, motherfucker, he said that.
But then we could just zap a person, like just go...
Who's talking, by the way?
Jim Norton, Dr. Kaku.
Physics preventing it. Yeah?
Yeah.
I have yet to see a law of physics that prevents that capability.
Yeah. Yeah, see, you're a physics guy, so unless there's a law of physics that says something can't be done, you will assume that in time...
It can be done.
It can be done.
Yes.
And that time would be probably about 100
And
years.
time travel is definitely not possible, right?
Yes.
No, there's a theory of time travel that's being looked at very seriously.
To go in the past or go into the future? I can't imagine you can go in the past. That has to be impossible.
There are hundreds of solutions of Einstein's equations which take you to the past. And if you have something called negative energy, then you could actually hold the gateway open.
So basically, Patrice is a time-traveling vessel. Because he said that you have negative energy.
Oh, you fucking douche.
That was a good one.
Now, here's my last question. Absolutely my last question.
Yeah, we got to get going.
If say you're the Tupac of physics, who's the Biggie of physics? Who's either your counterpart that you respect a lot, or your counterpart that you go, this guy is just ridiculous?
Bill Tetley.
Well, like, who's the big kahuna out there?
Yeah,
in your estimation, or if you're the big kahuna, say you. But who's the guy? That I should Google to that either
the guy you look up to, like a Dr. Chipperson or
in string theory, which is what I do for a living. One of the great engines of string theory that generates a lot of ideas is a guy named Ed Whitten at the Institute for Advanced Study at Princeton, where Einstein worked. So he's a guy that likes to keep a low profile, but he's basically one of the big engines that drives the whole theory forward.
Is string theory looking like it's real, or is it? Some people say it's a bunch of bunk. Pardon my French.
No, we're in the process of testing the periphery of it with a Large Hadron Collider. Next year, it'll be zapped up to full power, and we'll be able to hopefully create sparticles. Sparticles are higher vibrations of the string. So the people who say that you cannot test string theory simply don't know anything about string theory.
If you see a string, like let's just say there's string theory, is it possible to cut one of those strings in half?
Yeah, we think that ordinary atoms are made out of vibrating strings. Every time you split an atom, you're splitting a string.
So isn't a vibrating string made up of something smaller? If you can cut it in half, isn't there something that makes up a vibrating string which is smaller?
Yeah, but every time you cut a string, you get another string. So the unit of strings is the smallest you can get.
So if you cut Jim Norton in half, will both of those halves live? Like a mollusk?
Barely.
Like a jellyfish.
Like some kind of jellyfish.
Yeah. A slug.
All right. Hey, Dr. Kaku, what are we promoting today, sir?
The universe.
Well, I just got off my book tour. Physics of the Future hit number 6 on the New York Times bestseller list.
Oh, congratulations. Happy ending to number 4.
A lot of people are curious about the future, and I've interviewed over 300 of the world's top scientists for that book.
Yeah.
So
a
a lot of people want to know what's in the laboratory, what's being done that'll change their lives.
Who's your favorite comedian?
Favorite comedian?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I have one.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Michael Richards.
The only laughing he does is when it's an uncomfortable moment. He kind of just goes.
You don't watch comedians there, Dr. Kaku?
We have a few on the show.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe the people on O&Aep and Anthony.
Yes. Have you heard of
Oppie.
I love him.
Have you heard of Jim Norton?
Jim Norton?
Well, I have now.
There you go.
All right.
Hey, that's nice.
Well, next time,
Well,
maybe
next
you see
time
him.
he'll recognize you.
You've met a few times.
Do you laugh at Stephen Hawking? When y'all meet up, you just go, look at you, stupid.
I can't hear. What was the question? I missed
It was a Stephen Hawking thing.
You just want to smack his dumb straw out of his mouth?
Yeah, you feel sorry for him?
No, he's lost control over everything except his blinking muscles and his,
It's important.
facial muscles. Eventually, I think we may actually hook up an electrode to his brain directly and hook his brain to a computer. This has been suggested seriously.
It's just an experiment.
Oh, he's done. He's like done in terms of.
No, he's still blinking his shit out.
Yeah.
But I'm saying he's still.
He still
He's
blinks
still
his shit
thinking.
out.
He's still thinking as smart as he ever thought. His body just went kablooey.
His brain is very active, except that he has lost control over his muscles.
Yeah, he can't pop lock.
With stroke victims, we've already done that. We've always hooked up the brain of a stroke victim directly to a laptop. They can now surf the web.
It's great. Half the laptop works.
They can do emails, write emails, answer emails. They can do anything you can do on a computer, and they're totally paralyzed.
You can send an email to like Ethel@roar.com.
Yes. I think you could.
That's fucked up what he just
I
said.
think Stephen Hawking's brain is perfectly normal. His brain is just as active.
But he has no more theories anymore. Like he can't, because you can't.
How do you
get him
blink out a
There's
theory?
Sure
no.
he can.
He's blinking shit
No, he
still.
has theories, but there's no more that's going to be.
What if he's trying to blink out a number like 3,218,000, but he has to start over?
Going to take a while.
No, it's a tremendous problem that he has. He can't use his hands to use a pencil to catch.
Jimmy can't either when he acts. It's
I
terrible.
know.
Shit.
Without using your hands, man,
Yeah.
it's like, oof.
Well, Dr. Kaku,
Thank you very much.
so much.
Okay.
Yes.
For,
Always a pleasure,
always
sir.
a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
Always very insightful. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes.
Okay, fine.
Bye. We'll talk soon. Dr. Kaku.
Okay.
I was
I'll see him.
writing notes to Patrice. Jim has met Dr. Kaku.
I know,
They
yeah,
live in the same building. They've been in the
It's,
same elevator, and he's still.
And he goes,
Jimmy
"He
says
goes,
hello
good
to
to
him
meet you."
all the
I
time.
don't mind. I'll see him, and I'll see him again, and he just gets frightened when you're like, "Hey, how are you?"
He goes, he's such a, he's a skittish.
It's weird to be. I can't imagine being so physically unimpressive that he just don't remember you ever.
Does not remember you.
And I know Norton.
That side of his
Norton-
brain just doesn't work.
Norton wants to believe that he does it with everybody, but he don't.
But does he not remember you either?
He doesn't remember.
I don't think he remembers ever being
Oppie,
on the
you
show.
at least you're Oppie.
No, I like
Well,
I like the
Oppie.
idea certainly, but I live right next to Jimmy, and I see him all the time, and I say, "Hey, Opie from Opie and Anthony," and he does this
Patrice-
clueless, weird thing and runs away.
Don't get
He's
mad at
not
me,
wrong.
asshole.
No. He's not wrong.
I like your theory, Patrice.
He's not wrong.
I would like to think that's what's going on.
I
here,
have
but-
met the same people 40 times who always put their hand out and introduce themselves. I really do not leave a lasting impression.
You know what? the way I would be flattered. He calls you Oppie, and
Oppie.
that's like Oppenheimer, who was,
Sure.
the
Great
father of
physicist.
the atomic bomb there. That's probably why he thinks Oppie instead of
Oh yeah, he
Opie.
does. He has no clue.
Opie would be silly.
He has no clue.
Norton just is not,
No.
said-
Hi, this is Jim Norton.
He said this is Jim
yeah.
Norton 4 times in
Yeah?
the same conversation, and there was no recognition.
On my tombstone, it's just going to say, "Here lies Jim Norton, remarkably forgettable."
Aw.
yeah, because you see, he's saying Jim Norton, and he's talking about
is he here?
metaphysics and
Oh, okay.
metaphysics and everything.
I
And
met a
just-
physics too. I was like, "How you doing?" It said, "Hi, Chip."
Oh, you didn't.
Norton's just a living bowl of grits with no butter on it, no salt, nothing.
Yeah,
Just-
your grits. Why don't you kiss my grits?
Fucking Kaku just doesn't pay me.